What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, and I'm coming at you with a unique video. Now, I really liked doing the Ice Barrier card review, so I thought, okay, it is getting a structure deck, obviously, so what kind of cards could we see out of this structure deck that Konami will release? So I went ahead and made a few custom cards I think that they could. It's basically my prediction for what these new cards are going to look like because, the monster lineup is super sus, and the extra deck was always, pretty good, especially because two of them are limited to one. But I found that the most interesting about Ice Barriers, they're getting a structure deck when two of their monsters are already, on the ban list in some capacity, so I don't know if they're coming off. I doubt it because they're too general, or generic, I should say, unless they reprint them and make them specific, but I don't think they're going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the custom cards I made first. That way it's kind of like a custom card review, a little more traditional. Then I'm going to go over the actual entire deck that I've made off of these custom cards. Then we'll go ahead and go over and do 4 or 5 test hands for you guys to check out. I have a lot more respect for Konami after making this deck because it is hard to balance without becoming too overpowered. So hopefully you guys will see that I try to balance this as much as possible, but yeah, obviously some things aren't going to be perfect, and I have no idea if this is what any of the cards are going to look like, so I'm actually really excited for the structure to come out to see if I maybe could predicted something that Konami made, but let's just get into it and we'll start from there. So we're studying custom cards. So the first one I called it was a Princess of the Ice Barrier. All of them have "of the Ice Barrier" in the name, so I definitely wanted to stick with that theme. In any case, the Princess of the Ice Barrier is a level 3, attack 100, defense 1200, and I'll tell you a little bit. I'll try to do my best to explain to you the reasoning behind the numbers best I can. In any case, if this card is sent to the graveyards, you can add up to 2 Ice Barrier monsters with different names from your deck to your hand. You can only use the effect of a Princess of the Ice Barrier once per turn. So let me just say the first reason I used sent to the graveyard because sent to the graveyard in terms of used as synchro material, and also sent to the graveyard there's a bunch of these used discarding effects. So anytime it's either discarded or used as synchro material, I wanted to make sure that it would search off that, because there's lots of discarding in the deck, and advantage is not the strong suit of the deck so far. So I thought this would be a good way to kind of bridge that gap, maybe start some combos for you and that kind of thing. So yeah, on the surface it may seem a little OP, but again, this deck needs a lot of help, and obviously keeping it in the Ice Barrier archetype is most important, which is what I've tried to do best. On to the next one. It's called Ice Barrier Reincarnation. Again, the names don't really matter. Target up to 3 Ice Barrier monsters in your graveyard with different names, then activate this effect. Special summon them, excuse me, but their effects are negated. Immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon 1 Ice Barrier synchro monster using only those monsters, and shuffle the materials into the deck and sending them to the graveyard. That way, you couldn't just get back Apprentice of the Ice Barrier, go back search 2. That'd be way overpowered, obviously. Now, this card is, you guys may have noticed, from me reading it, it's basically a 1-for-1 for the Mathmech Trap card, except they use it for XYZ summoning, but in here I use it for synchro summoning. Again, it's with the idea that you're constantly discarding cards, your graveyard. Nothing really floats in the graveyard as of right now for the Ice Barrier archetype, and I've tried not to make that too overpowered as well, constantly having effects blowing up in the graveyard. So this is a way that you could actually use those graveyard monsters effectively, and then the whole idea of Ice Barriers to me is stunning your opponent going second. It's a blind go second deck for sure, at least in my opinion so far, and I think Konami will kind of stick with that trend, kind of going along the lines of Crusadia. That's kind of the idea of all of this, so that was the reason for the trap card, and Konami loves making trap cards, so I knew there had to be at least one in there. And obviously it's pretty good, and you'll kind of see the synergy as we go on here, because most of the synchro monsters don't do it at upon synchro summons. This card, it's once per turn you can turn as many number face-up cards. Not a quick effect, so it wouldn't trigger. This isn't a quick effect. Trishula would be a good one when it's synchro summoned. That would be, Trishula during your opponent's turn would be fantastic. But I also made one other card, which we'll get to later, which hopefully you guys can see that it's pretty good. This one's called Master of the Ice Barrier. Again, this is with Math Mech in mind. Quick effect. When your opponent activates a monster effect, you contribute 1 Ice Barrier synchro monster you control. Special summon this card from your hand. Immediately after this effect resolves, special summon 1 Ice Barrier monster from your hand and your graveyard. You cannot synchro summon the turn use this effect. You can only use the effect of Master of the Ice Barrier once per turn. So yeah, I'll go over this. Again, this is Math Mech Edition, basically, in an Ice Barrier card. And the reason I did it so that you can't synchro summon the turn use it is if if your opponent activates a monster effect during your turn, you wouldn't be able to, you wouldn't synchro summon, use this effect, and then do it again, basically. But the idea is that you're doing it during your opponent's turn as a stun type of thing. And if you have cards, like I have a bunch of one-ofs, and what I wanted the deck to be is like a tool deck. So everything you could possibly need against your opponent to stun them, you would be able to do at leisure. So like if your opponent's using a lot of spell and traps cards, like let's say you're playing Sky Striker, so you would tribute one of your synchros, special summon this guy, special summon this from your hand or graveyard, wherever it's at. And that way, they can only activate 1 spell or trap. And let's say you had this in your graveyard, then you would have special summon this, and then at the end of the turn, if it's still on the field, you would be able to special summon an Ice Barrier monster from your graveyard. So hopefully you guys like the card design like that. I really do. I only have one, but not every card that Konami makes is going to be a 3 of. That's just pretty obvious. In any case, this is the most important card of the deck for me, of the custom cards that I created. The thing with Ice Barrier is that they never had a normal summon, so I definitely wanted to bridge that gap, and I based this off of a shark. I wish I could remember the name now off the top of my head, but this is basically 1-for-1 for one of the shark monsters. When this card is normal summon, you can special summon 1 Ice Barrier monster from your hand. And this is also like Vanishing Lanius for Raid Raptors a little bit. Once per turn, if this card is used as synchro material of an Ice Barrier synchro monster, this level can be treated as a level 3 or 5 monster. That way, it just gives you an easier time to special summon your Ice Barrier monsters. And because right now it's a little difficult, so this is definitely the most important card of the deck and something that I think Konami has to add. Something similar to this. Maybe they'll restrict it and that you can only special summon an Ice Barrier monster that's level 4 or below, something like that. But most of the time, that's what you should be doing anyways. But honestly, the reason I designed it like that is because these high-level monsters have no way of being summoned right now. Not realistically. If your opponent controls 4 more cards than you do, sure, yeah, that's not bad. If you're going second, you're playing Adamanticators, you'll probably be able to fill that requirement. Maybe not. Like this card, General Ryo of the Ice Barrier, basically no way of doing it. I've experimented with having a field spell that you could normal summon an Ice Barrier monster that's level 5 or higher without tributing, but I don't know. Then you have to then you're depending on some sort of field spell to do stuff for you. So it didn't really work out in my opinion. Next custom card I have here is Assistant of the Ice Barrier. It's called. If you control another Ice Barrier monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. So it's just an extender. Oh, if this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can draw 1 card. Again, trying to refresh the hand size because you're going to be discarding so much. Your hand size is a definitely big problem in the deck. So I thought that was pretty fair and balanced. And it's not like a generic. You can special summon this card from your hand. It has to be Ice Barrier archetype oriented. So the deck doesn't have any good tuners at all. It doesn't need that many for sure. Like the way I've designed the archetype, you kind of always be able to get this in your hand. So I thought about adding another extender to the deck. This is basically the only one in a sense, but other than this maybe. But you're gonna use this to search this almost all the time. So I really like this card, and I hope they add something like this. And when you have cards like Wizard of the Ice Barrier and Assistant, you can adjust that level and kind of go where you want. Thought this was a really well-designed card on my part, so I guess I'll pat myself on the back. In any case, let's keep going here. This is basically a 1-for-1 Crusadia. Target one Ice Barrier monster you control. It is unaffected by your opponent's card effects until the end of the turn. You can only activate one power of the Ice Barrier. It's really redundant, but no, you can only activate one Ice Barrier once per turn. So, yeah, again, like if your normal summon, like if someone goes for an infinite impermanence here, you definitely, like, your turn's basically over. And again, I try to do stuff like this to keep the balance out. And maybe you want to add Call by the Grave, but again, this is all theoretical in any case. So, and the deck really needs a level 5, so I tried to bridge that gap. If this card is special summon, and I also wanted it to be used as a stun part of the deck as well, that would synergize with this. But a lot of the times you're using it to synchro summon. Yeah, and again, you could even use special summon from the graveyard with this effect. If this card is special summoned by the effect of an Ice Barrier monster, your opponent, I want to make sure if it's not just special summon in general. I don't know. I'm trying to make as many restrictions as I can, basically. If this card is special summoned by the effect of an Ice Barrier monster, your opponent can activate trap cards. So, if you're playing like Ultrageist, this would be really good, but it does also have utility in the fact that it's level 5. And everything else, I'll just go over the rest of the deck, obviously. Like normal, this is the rest of the Ice Barrier cards, and Medallion of the Ice Barrier is just a literal general search, so I didn't design this card. I know, it honestly seems like a little overpowered, because it's not even once per turn, but obviously that will be really good for the archetype. It's just a general search card, which everything needs. So again, this was done in mind with... this would synergize really well, actually, with Whirl Sorcerer of the Ice Barrier. If they can't activate anything and then you can return them to the hand, I think that's like really good. Again, this is a normal card that already exists. This is Dance, Princess of the Ice Barrier. Once per turn, if you control another face of Ice Barrier monster, you can reveal any number of Ice Barrier monsters in your hand to select an equal number of set, spell, and trap cards your opponent controls. Return those selected set, spell, trap cards your opponent controls to the hand. That's a really good stun variant, obviously. And if your opponent can activate those trap cards at that moment, you know, they're returning to the hand, then they have to set them, and then they have to wait. So, not bad for stun. I don't know about this one. I'm trying to include as many Ice Barrier like cards that already exist as I can, but a lot of them are 1/0s. It's just the nature of how not very good the main deck is. While you control another face-up Ice Barrier monsters, monster your opponent controls cannot declare an attack if their attack is greater than 1600, basically. So it's another card you would use with Master of the Ice Barrier, special summon from your hand. Maybe protect yourself for a turn if they can't get rid of it. If they don't have any sort of removal. So it's kind of like Dragma in a sense. Like you cannot be destroyed by battle by monsters from the extra deck. A little similar, and that's kind of the same vein. So definitely not a bad card. And this is General Gantali of the Ice Barrier. Once per turn during your end phase, you can select one Ice Barrier monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So if you could special summon back like I don't know, any of these synchro monsters, I think that'd be really good. That's why I included it in the deck. And this is a card that I really like for stun for sure. Yeah, especially against combo decks, I think it's fantastic. General Ryo of the Ice Barrier. So when an effect resolves that was activated by effect monster that your opponent controls, obviously, that must discard one card of this effect is negated. So if they're using Jet Synchron, they have to go -2 just to special summon him back. So that could easily be a combo extender, or maybe like an Ash Blossom, something like that. So I really like this card. Medium of the Ice Barrier, like I said, maybe you can special summon it especially if you're going second against combo decks. So like if you're playing Ultrageist, obviously this would be really good too. That's like great form of removal. They would be pretty much limited to using Protocol, basically. You probably wouldn't even use a Synchro Summon, not that it would be easy to do that anyways. Secret Guards, can't target, that's fine. And then the 3 of Strange Geist of the Ice Barrier. This synchronizes really well with Apprentice, so discard 1, draw 1, and then you add 2 Ice Barrier monsters. I thought that would synergize pretty well and was a big inspiration for this card in general. And everything else basically is your average hand trap lineup. Maybe not exactly, but you're going second builds, basically. The 3 Ash, the 3 Nibiru, the Double or Nothing packages in here. An Upstart Goblin, you could replace that with everyone, I guess, theoretically. And the 3 Dark Ruler, no more. So that's the main deck. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. Now on to the extra deck. These are cards that already exist. Tiger King of the Ice Barrier, return as many face-up cards your opponent controls. So you go Dark Ruler no more against Adam Emancipator, especially summon this bad boy. All of them go to the hand because I'm pretty sure they'll all be face-up. That's a really good combo. I keep Adam Emancipator in mind because I think they're going to be around for a really long time. But and here's the first extra deck monster that is custom card by me. The requirement is 2 water aqua effect monsters. So basically any of these. You're not going to be using most of these to link summon, so, and I didn't want to make it too general, at least, so, and it has no benefit for any, not even sharks or anything like that. Maybe I can do 2 ice barrier effect monsters. It's not that important. When this card is link summoned, you can special summon 1 ice barrier monster from your deck, but its effects are negated. The special summon monster cannot be used as link material. If an ice barrier monster is synchro summoned to a zone this card points to, you can add 1 spell or trap that lists ice barrier in its name from your deck to your hand. This is basically a carbon copy of Raybaptor Wystrix. And you'll see, I think it synergizes really well with the deck. If you have that 3rd extender, you're not going to be able to bring it out every opening hand. A lot of times, maybe you'll only be able to synchro summon one of these bad boys and just call it a day. But if you do have the full combo, which hopefully in the test hands will be able to show you, I think it's pretty good. Hopefully not too overpowered for you guys. That's something you'll have to let me know in the comments. And Brionac, you can discard any number of cards, destroy that same amount, which is, return them to the hand, excuse me. So that's a really good effect, obviously. And hopefully you would have something like, Apprentice of the Ice Bear in your hand, so when you discard it, you're replacing with 2 more cards, so you're not going super ultra neg, basically. And again, there's lots of different effects. You can discard up 2 cards, destroy that many cards, it's fine. Everyone knows what Trishula does. And here's the last custom card of the deck, and it synergizes specifically with the Ice Barrier Reincarnation along with Trishula, but if you don't have all of the materials you need for Trishula, this is a good backup plan. This is a great, maybe if you were forced to go first, this would be fantastic to go with that. You can discard any number of cards to the graveyard and negate the effects of face-up monsters your opponent controls up to the number of cards discarded by this effect. And obviously you can only use it once per turn. So the idea is, if you're forced to go first, you would activate Ice Barrier Reincarnation, special summon this bad boy, discard a card, maybe something like this, maybe not, who cares. That would negate as many face-up cards as you wanted. Which I think is pretty cool. And I made sure, at this one, I made sure it was 1 tuner plus 1 non-tuner Ice Barrier monster. That way it can't be splashed. It's a little overpowered, but it's something I think Ice Barriers really need. So yeah, I like that card a lot, and hopefully they see something like that. I tried to stick along with the archetype of discarding cards, so that was the reasoning behind that as well. Rest of it is pretty general because a lot of this is going to be your rank 4 engine, basically, which a lot of decks do now anyways. Here's your Bahamut Shark. Obviously, these are water monsters, so I definitely think this is going to be used. Your Double or Nothing package, we already know about that. The Abyss Dweller, Tornado Dragon, Evil Storm Extinction, and Salamangreat Almirage, which are what the heck, why would you do that? Purpose behind this, if you brick, you could normal summon your Apprentice of the Ice Barrier, link summon there, and then search 2 for your next turn, and hope you have, whatever it is to help you survive for the next turn. That was the reason for that. So that was a deck profile for a theoretical deck. Hopefully, I don't know, I think it's a really interesting thing, and I'm definitely going to be doing Cyber Darks at some point. Let me know what you guys think about this kind of setup. I think it's really fun. Other than that, let's go do some test hands so I can show you. Hopefully I'll be able to do full combo at least once, because I've been testing it out for a couple hours now. And let's just go to a solo mode here. Let's see what I get. Okay, so this is actually full combo, so hopefully you guys will see this. I'm going to go ahead and normal summon Wizard of the Ice Barrier. When it's normal summon, let's see, special summon an Ice Barrier from my hand. That will get special summon that in defense mode. Again, it's just like Vanishing Lanius. Since I control an Ice Barrier monster, I can special summon this from my hand. And I'll go ahead and link summon using these 2. And I'll special summon the Ice Barrier monster. That activates the effect of Apprentice of the Ice Barrier. Lets me grab 2 monsters with different names from my deck to my hand. So I'm going to go ahead and add, let's see, let's add my one of Master of the Ice Barrier. So I'll add that to my hand. And we can grab whatever else we want. So this would be matchup dependent for sure. So let's say you're playing Adamancipators. I would definitely add this to the hand. And we'll use the effect of Summoner of the Ice Barrier to special summon from the deck. But their effects are negated and they can't be used as link material. It's important for me to make sure you do that. So if you're not playing this would all be an assumption that you're not playing a heavy spell or trap deck. So in which case you definitely want to special summon someone like this. Or maybe you are, because you're going to be able to special summon from the graveyard anyways. You can kind of look at it both ways, obviously. So there's Royal Sorcerer of the Ice Barrier. Its effects are negated. This would allow us to synchro summon. We have 2 options when we do this. We can either go into our Tiger King, which that's actually funny. His name's Tiger King. I didn't really think about that too much. So again, let's go along the lines you're playing Adamancipators. Hopefully, you're returning all these face-up cards and activating the effect of Assistant. It lets you draw 1 card. And actually, that's a really good draw. And since you synchro summon, you can add 1 Ice Barrier spell or trap from your deck to your hand. We can go ahead and add like Power of the Ice Barrier or maybe a Medallion. Again, this is complete full combo. It's not always like this, and you'll see in a few test hands sometimes you're able to brick, but we can go ahead and activate the effect of Medallion of the Ice Barrier. Send that to the grave, and any stun card that we think we might want, this would definitely be this search we would want to do for that. I'm a big fan of this, so I'm probably going to end up using that, but just in case, again, we're playing a spell or trap heavy deck, go ahead and add this to the hand. Then we would go into battle phase, attack there. So there is a little bit of balance here. I know it looks a little crazy. I went, +3 during the turn, but I have to choose either one, basically. I can't synchro summon during my opponent's turn while also using the effect of Master of the Ice Barrier, because I can't synchro summon the turn as effect is used. So hopefully that kind of makes sense to you guys, and that seems a little even to you. So that's the idea behind full combo there. Then you would attack in, obviously, do whatever you wanted. There's probably a few more restrictions that could be adding, like you can't link summon for the rest of the turn, yada, 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 something like that. But not even Raid Raptors have that kind of effect, and Raid Raptors are able to end on Zexal with the Simorgh link. So, I mean, honestly, is this the most overpowered hand of all time? I don't think so. So that was one test hand. We'll go ahead. And I could have gone into, there's another level 5 here. Which I believe is, Brionac. So could have returned some cards to the hand, but again, it wouldn't. The important thing is, like, during your opponent's turn, you wouldn't be able to summon this and just start, returning cards to the hand, because it's not, the effect doesn't say when it's synchro summoned. It's like you can activate the effect by discarding, so it would only be during your turn. Let's do maybe 2 or more. I mean that's pretty much a straightforward thing. Let's see if I brick. I have definitely bricked a few times, like here. So let's go ahead and activate Upstart. Let's see what I can get. Oh, that's not bad at all. Okay. Let's send this to the graveyard. Hopefully. Thank you. Let's go ahead and normal summon here. Special summon here. So I could go into a level 4. No, see, that wouldn't work. Actually, let's go ahead and see that this is. I did try to balance it as best I could. So this isn't honestly the perfect hand ever. There's not even a level 4 synchro. So what we could do, let's go into the link. Let's go to the grave, to the grave. That would activate a Princess of the Ice Barrier's effect. We could grab, I don't know. We could honestly just set ourselves up for next turn because we don't have much going on here, which I think is fine, honestly. We can add this to the hand, and that would allow us to special summon from the deck as well, but its effects are negated. So this would basically be the end of our turn. You could go for a big, definitely like a big defensive monster if you felt like that was necessary. So that was another kind of test hand there. And obviously had a lot of blowout going second card, so maybe you're able to stop your opponent enough where that's fine. And I guess that's kind of the idea. And again, I bricked here, so I'm trying not to make sure this is 100% consistency. I don't think Ice Barriers are going to be meta, and that wasn't really the point of anything. We'll go ahead and do like one more decent hand, and then we'll call it a day. So yeah, this could be full combo for sure. Go ahead and activate Medallion. Let's grab our Extender because it's basically the only one we have in the deck. And you can go to a bunch of rank 4s already, as you guys can see. So, because this can be used, you know, I have lots of options here. Since this is normal summon, I can special summon, I don't know, probably. Let's go ahead and special summon this in defense mode. And here's my Extender on the board. Let's go ahead and send this to the graveyard. I activated it. That allows us to synchro summon to the grave. And we can go into the link. Link allows us to grab whatever we want from the deck, special summon it. And a big reason why I made this a level 3 is because I don't want Princess of the Ice Barrier and Assistant to be compatible, because if you're able to synchro summon, draw 1, grab 2, that is like insanely overpowered, I think, and probably like super unfair. So that was a big reason behind that. We could probably go the same route again here. Let's see here. Let's go like towards the same combo as last time here. So let's special summon this in defense. That would allow me to send these to the graveyard. Synchro summon. And this time I guess we can just go into this just because. And again, this would be going second, so you would obviously be able to activate that effect. But that allows me to draw 1 card. And since I synchro summon to a zone this card points to, I can grab whatever I wanted. And let's send this to the hand. So that would be another churn here. You know, you would attack for whatever. I guess you could link Climeg to a link 3 if you really wanted to, but that, you know, that's something that people who would be using this deck would be able to kind of dictate and choose what they wanted to do. That would allow, and then, you know, during your next opponent's turn, you can activate this and kind of go wherever you want with it. You would obviously send this one to the field. That's 1. And you can't use this effect to change its level because the effects are negated. Obviously, I didn't want that to be too overpowered. So that puts you at 5. This could go to a 6, which I think is fine. Because then you obviously send these to the graveyard. So you can special summon an Ice Barrier level 6 Synchro, which I believe is... Yeah, I mean... You would be able to choose that, and maybe Konami will make a bunch of synchro monsters. And since this was synchro summoned to a zone this card points to, I can go ahead and view whatever I want. If it was still on the field, you know, who knows at that point. And that would give me a search for the next turn. So yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this format. I know I did. It's a lot of fun, so I think I'm gonna keep making them. Especially for all these new structure decks, and maybe even for some decks that you guys are just interested in general. Other than that, guys, let me know what you guys think about all of this, and I'll hit you up in the comments, and hopefully I can get Kevin on soon so we can actually test this out. I'll give him my custom Egyptian God support. We did a video on that, but the audio got corrupted. It's all jacked up, so maybe we'll have to redo that. And once I introduce the cards, then we'll do some like 10-minute play testing between the two of us. Check out the description for all of our social media link, and I'll see you next time, guys.